Hey guys, welcome back to Cozy Womb Podcast. My name is Shan, mom of the girls. Today I want to talk about trauma parenting and not normalizing it as a thing you should do. I think trauma parenting is when you were raised on survival because the times were a lot harder, but then you fast forward to now. Thank you for supporting the Cozy Moon Podcast show. It is brought to you by Red Circle. Red Circle is a desktop platform where it doesn't have an app, but it has the best distribution that you can have for your podcast. It gives you the best reach for other platforms as far as distribution, and as far as monetizing your show, it has the best options to go ahead and monetize your show. And also people can donate directly to your podcast. And the best part is you can cross promote with other podcasters within Red Circle. So hop onto Red Circle. Don't be limited by what you can do in your podcast today.
Here we go.
Back to the show. I'm back. Okay, so as a mom, I'm not raising my kids to believe they have to leave my house at 18 without any sense of adulting. That is trauma parenting. Are you crazy? My kids will probably leave my house and give me all of their adult bills if I let them leave at 18. So I would rather them stay with me until like 24, 25-ish to make sure that they got all their ducks lined up in a row. So when they do come back to me, it's on good terms. Like, hey, I met somebody, I got married. Or, hey, I got my own house, I got my own car, I'm just visiting. Oh, hey, I brought you something that you needed. Hey, it's not, oh, I need this, oh, I need that. Oh, mom, I got a big mistake. Oh, I need this. Like, I'm not doing that, okay? I tell my kids I love them randomly, not all the time, over excessive. Like, I tell them randomly because I think if you do it in excess, it really starts to lose its power. You know what I'm saying? I hug my kids randomly. A lot of times I have to remind myself to hug them. A lot of times when people were raised on trauma parenting, they don't think affection is a big deal. So that's why I say we cannot raise our kids or normalize trauma parenting as just being stern with our kids, right? And I do not blame my kids for them being born. I've heard a lot of my cousins get that blame. I've heard a lot of kids that I've gone to school with get that blame, and it's not right. And I think nurturing is a thing for me, but not the only method of parenting. So like, yes, I can be nurturing. I can also discipline you. I can also take away things. I can also make them feel like they're on punishment because I'm making them learn something that their teacher didn't tell them they had to do, but I'm telling them they have to do it. I'll make them do things that I'll let them do things out of the blue for like, what would you do if this happened right now? Or if you can't find me in the store, what did you do if this happened? Just like how to survive without me type of things. I do that with my kids a lot. As far as like a good supportive parent, a lot of times when people were raised with trauma parenting, both parents weren't very supportive of each other, right? So it's either it was on dad a lot or it was on mom a lot. So I don't want to raise my kids like that. Even though I am co-parenting with my kids and me and their dads are not together, I don't want to raise them where they feel like a man is not needed because a man is not here. I don't want them to think that their dad not being around is not a big deal. It is a big deal, but just because I make do without him around, it doesn't mean that you have to, or you should, or this should be like a goal of yours to do it without. Like, I don't want that portrayed to them. But I don't want them also to think two people need to stay together no matter how much tension, anger, hate, negativity is in a household just because they have kids either. because I don't believe in that. If your home is not comfortable and it's not real and it's not honest, then that's what you need to fix. That's going to be the foundation of a lot of things not working. So if my home is at peace without another adult, then my house is just going to have to be at peace without another adult. As a mom, I'm also very understanding of the pros and cons of my parents' parenting. So, like, I think there were great attributes from my dad as a parent that I can take. I think there are great attributes from my mom as a parent that I can take with me. But there were both cons on my dad's side and my mom's side. Like, my dad was very like, don't I make sure there's lights on in here? I love you. Don't I make sure I pay the water bill? I love you. Don't I make sure you have clean clothes? I love you. Don't I make sure you have something to eat? I love you. But there was never like, oh, let me hug you because I haven't seen you. Or, oh, let me hug and kiss you before you go. Or, oh, let me check in on you. Let me see your homework. How was your day? Oh, you need to go to the doctor's? I'll take you. You know, my dad never took me to the doctor. It was always my mom. My dad had 2 cars. My mom did not drive. My mom took the trolley, the train, the bus. We walked, or we got rides from people to go to the grocery store sometimes, to the doctors, to the pharmacy, pick me up from school, drop me off at school. Like, my mom did it all. My mom struggled like a single mother within a marriage, okay, until she was no longer married, and she decided to struggle until she was not struggling by herself. And I watched my mom go from being married to my dad and him not helping her financially, him just taking care of, quote unquote, his house. And she left him and we lived with relatives. And I say relatives, not family, on purpose. We lived with relatives. We lived in a woman's shelter. Me and my youngest brother, we were in foster care when my mom got her second stroke because my relatives did not want to keep us for a month or so in the summer. We lived on Section 8 for about, I want to say like 6 years. And then she decided to move to Florida. And she moved to Florida and she got a house. No, she got an apartment first. And she worked at a daycare. And me and my brother were a little bit older so we could stay home by ourselves a little bit. And like, we walked everywhere. We walked everywhere in Florida. You can imagine. Yes, it was hot. So when it comes to trauma parenting, even though there were times where I wish my mom would just stayed and we could have just been at the house, and yes, it was not peaceful, but at least we had, and she didn't have to struggle. I understand why she did it, right? She wanted emotional freedom, mental freedom, and financial freedom. And eventually she did get her house in Florida. And then...
What's the easiest choice you can make? Window instead of middle seat? Picking a vendor who sends a great gift basket? Outsourcing business tasks you hate? What about selling with Shopify? Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Shopify's there to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell. Wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/try. Go to shopify.com/try now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/try.
When you visit Arizona, time is measured in moments, not minutes. Like the moment your work stress disappears as you kayak through the canyons. Or the moment you discover the life-changing effects of prickly pear chocolate. But nothing beats the moment you see the Grand Canyon for the very first time. Visit a new state of mind. Learn more at hereyouareaz.com.
After I left to go to college, I left to go to finish high school in Florida. In Atlanta, because I couldn't take being in Florida with my brothers. My mom didn't discipline anybody in the house, and it was like war every day, and I couldn't be there. So I decided to go live with an aunt in Georgia. And my brothers got older, and they wanted to live elsewhere, and the house needed upkeep. It was falling apart, and eventually my mom ended up losing the house to the bank. And struggle, man, just struggling. And that doesn't have to be the norm. And eventually we all grew and got our own lives and our own places. And now I have a home, and my 2 kids have a home, and they have a backyard, a front yard. I drive, so they don't ever have to experience me walking with them anywhere, getting on the bus, getting on the train, begging for rides. Like, I knew when I had kids, I was going to have to be super, super, super independent as a mom and make sure my kids did not have the experiences that I had as a kid. And that's because I do not want to raise my kids with any trauma parenting, like, oh, since I did it or I had to deal with it growing up, so do you. No, my kids don't have to deal with anything I dealt with growing up unless I cannot provide. And I can drive, I can pay a car note, I can pay my insurance, I can pay my rent, I can pay my utilities, I can make sure they have clean clothes, I can put food in the fridge. I can do all these things. I can make sure that they're happy. I can make sure that they're emotionally taken care of. I can play with them. I can discipline them. And all around, I'm not putting my trauma growing up on my kids, because that's not healthy. Okay? That is not healthy, and us as parents, we have to stop doing that. My father more than likely did not have the proper love and nurturing feelings and emotions from his parents, so then that was like blocked off. That was a norm for him. So maybe providing was the only way he felt like he could show love to people. I gave you money, or I gave you this, or you have this, and you have a room, and you have a space, and you could come to me if you want something, or, if you want to go outside, I'll go outside with you. He was very like, you have no friends, I am your friend. Okay? My mom was one of 13, and her mother wasn't gentle or affectionate. Her dad was a hard worker and rarely ever at the house because he worked a lot. He, built houses for people. He made furniture, and he was usually on the go a lot. So in that mix, she had to seclude herself for peace in Jamaica, and she had to figure out how she was going to find her own happiness, regardless of her not getting the love she felt like she needed as a kid. So I'm a bit of things when it comes to a parent, but I understand that kids need all levels of parenting and not just one or the other, because that can spoil the child. Meaning, if you're too nice, you can spoil your child. If you're too mean, you can spoil your child. If you don't hug them enough, you can spoil your child. If you hug them too much, you can spoil your child. So there has to be a balance, okay? And we have to stop saying, because I dealt with it, you can deal with it. Because I grew up without both of my parents in the household, you can do and deal with not having both of your parents in the household, and you shouldn't be bothered by it, because I wasn't bothered by it. But the truth is, you as a child, you were bothered by the fact that you did not have access to both your parents. And the truth is that did make you into the adult that you are today. But the truth is also that your children are not you. Your children are a part of who you are, but they're also a part of someone else. And they have their own personality. And what they do with how you treat them and how you raise them, they're going to become different people. And it's not going to be you. So, do your best. Provide what you can in the best way that you can. And stop raising your kids based upon trauma parenting of not having, and now you have, but you still raise your kids like you don't have. Stop it. I want my kids to be better than me. We should all want our children to be better than we are currently. And if you don't want that, well, maybe you should have never had kids. If you don't want your kids to be better than you were, then maybe having kids is not for you. And if you currently already have kids, fix that. Thank you for listening to the Cozy Womb Podcast. Peace. Bye.
Bye.